Good evening, folks, and welcome to our February episode of Page Turner's podcast. As usual, the illustrious Rob Roy is here with me.
Oh, I love that. Illustrious. I think I'm gonna add that to my Twitter account. The illustrious. That's great.
I'm going to try to come up with a different name for you every show.
That's great.
Hey,
Hey.
my mood. That's so mean. And on Valentine's too. Happy Valentine's Day, Rob.
Happy Valentine's, Kari. Also, happy Lunar New Year. It's the year of the ox, and I believe that makes it your year, Kari.
Yeah, I'm an ox. I'm the biggest, dumbest, smelliest animal of the entire Chinese. So, yeah.
No, I believe it's strongest, sturdiest, always there.
Yeah, pulling the plow. I'm like the laziest ox ever. I'm the ox that you'd see in the field with like the fly buzzing around its head, not pulling the plow.
Not just it's like me. Nope, not today.
I'm the ox that ends up on the barbecue, I think. But happy Lunar New Year to everybody who celebrates. Blessings for the Lunar New Year. Who do we have with us tonight, Rob?
Oh, it's very exciting, Kari. Tonight we have Jordan Elizabeth. Jordan lives in a fantasy world of magic and adventure. When she isn't reading romance, she has her mind immersed in a daydream. Jordan's home office is often frequented by a cat, a little boy, and a husband. She is the author of, get this, 48 novels.
48?
When she isn't, I know, right? And then she adds, when she isn't writing, because how is that possible? But when she isn't writing, she works as a preschool teacher because she has that much time left. So
wait, let me get this straight. She has a full-time job, a husband, a kid, a cat, and she wrote 48 novels.
That's what she says. So we've got her on right now to confirm all this.
And I'm
welcome to the show.
Hello, I'm currently upstairs in a bit of a closet to avoid all those people from interrupting me.
What's your cat's name?
Dora.
Oh, that's awesome.
She came with a name. It was short for adorable.
Oh,
adorable. Oh, that's so sweet. My ferret's name is Thea, and we often call her Theodorable.
Oh,
great. Yeah, she's cute. So Elizabeth, I don't even know where to start. 48, or sorry, Jordan. I'm looking at your writing name, and I'm always mixing them up. It's Jordan Elizabeth is your writing name. 48 titles.
Yes.
How?
I have been busy.
Well, first of all, congratulations. That is outstanding.
That's impressive. I don't think we've interviewed anybody with 48 titles.
No.
Not all of them are in print yet. Some of them are waiting to be released from their publishers.
Oh, wow.
But you still have I'm so sorry, Kari.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead, Rob.
You still have a significant number that are published, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we were talking, and actually we've been talking since we booked you about the number that you have published. You have to tell us your secret. What is your process like? How do you even get close to that?
A lot of them were written before my son was born. He's 4 now, so I had extra time back then. I would take care of my grandmother. She had dementia. So I would sit in the living room and I would write books until she needed me. So a lot of them are from that time.
From that era?
Right now, though, usually I wait until he's asleep. And then I go and hide myself away and try to get at least one chapter done a night. That's my goal.
So you're really disciplined then. You're a disciplined writer.
I am a workaholic.
It sounds like.
Yeah, well, at least.
It sounds like. Can you tell us, how long have you been writing, Jordan?
I started writing, well, when I was little, 3 or 4, my grandmother would record my stories into a tape recorder, and then she would write them down for me. So I don't know if that counts, but I have horrible handwriting, and I'm very, very slow writer. So when I was in junior high, my dad gave me his old computer, and I found that I could type 77 words per minute.
Wow.
So that took off. But those books, they have been lost on old computers and old hard drives. I would love to see what they were like.
Well, yeah, I could look at some of the stuff that I write when I first started, and it's just so cringeworthy. Like, I don't know, do you really want to see it?
Probably not.
I'm still kind of curious. Like, I'm glad that some of my really early stuff has disappeared from this world, but
Yeah.
I am a little curious, like what do I still do that I did back then? Like, what's carried over into my, semi-professional career as a writer?
Yeah. That's in. Okay, so you started when you were young then, Jory.
Yes.
Quite young. And then, so then you started. Okay, so you were writing in high school, and you went on to obviously get some secondary education. It said here in your bio that I read online that you worked as a teacher at one point.
Yes, I am currently a preschool teacher, so I have my bachelor's degree in education.
Oh, wow. So you've got, so you went and were educated. Did you write all through university as well?
I did. It bothers me if I'm not able to write at least a chapter a night. It haunts me.
Wow. What great discipline.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
It bothers me if I don't write a chapter a year. Like, that's where I draw the line.
Well, you know what they say, the world is filled with talent, but it's the hard workers that get somewhere.
It's so true.
Right? Out of 100 writers who are probably fantastic writers, it's the ones that actually practice the craft and get in the chair every single day and write. And that just goes to show, then you end up an author with 48 novels.
Right. That's exactly it.
On your resume. So tell us about how you go from writing while taking care of your grandma to being a published author.
Well, I finally was happy with a story, which was actually Evil's Whisper, one of my latest books. And I was happy with that one, and I was just out of high school, so I submitted it to a very prominent publisher whose books I adored. And I knew, they were going to publish me. So like a year or two later, I got the rejection letter.
Oh, wow, a year.
Of course, quite devastated, because how could they not love my book?
Yeah.
Right? Of course. We've all been there, out of high school.
So then I continued to write, and my mom was going to be super supportive of me, and she was going to be my agent, but, she didn't know that stuff. So then I decided to, of course, keep writing. And I went on to get an agent for a different one of my books. At that point, I had maybe 4 or 5 written. And from there, she was able to find me a publisher. And from there, I continued with that publisher. I had another publisher as well who took more clean, teen-friendly novels for one of my books. And I just continued writing and writing and writing. That publisher, the first publisher, they actually closed their doors. So from there, I branched out into different publishers, because each publisher is looking for something different. And that is their expertise. They're able to really market and know the editing, the covers for that certain genre. I usually branch out into different writing. I'm trying now for some romance, which is new to me. I'm usually more of an epic fantasy or a young adult kind of girl.
Well, that's one of the things I noticed when I was going down your CV of work. You go from mystery to mermaids.
Yes.
I mean, it's very vast, and you've got a huge imagination. I mean, each book is quite different, except for obviously like the trilogies. But I've noticed that, a lot of your books are very different. I started reading, I just didn't have time to finish it, unfortunately, but Escape from Witch Hollow, which I was really enjoying, which I am really enjoying.
That is the first one that I had officially published.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I read it was the reviews that really got me, because I'm looking forward to this dark twist I hear at the end of this near the end of the story. But it's a great book, and you've got great imagery and very strong characters,
which is totally Kari's cup of tea. Like the dark twist, that's Kari, right?
That's not Rob.
Yeah.
My sweet seven child Rob.
But I did notice, so I read Evil's Whisper, which I quite enjoyed, and same kind of feedback and stuff. But you have a lot of little darkness in your stories, don't you?
Each one can be very, very dark. I've had people tell me that my books have kept them up at night because they keep thinking about it or having nightmares.
Oh, no.
especially
That's not a
Tabitha's
bad thing.
death.
That's kind of a compliment, though.
I had a critique partner contact me. I'm going to say it was 4 years after they had actually read Tabitha's death to tell me that the book still haunts them. And I think that's such a huge compliment.
Right. You've definitely like reached in and touched their soul in that regard. So yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I started reading. I just got to go back and see the title here. Just hang on. The one with the girl who's the Duke, and what's it called? Deep Silence. I started reading Deep Silence, and I was immediately hooked. And you managed to pack a lot into, and this is what we're supposed to do. I actually just learned this, taking the university course, is you need to pack what they call it a carry-on bag. And it's like packing a carry-on bag for the first few pages of the book, where you give the reader enough to like see them on the flight, but don't give the whole story away. And you've really packed quite the carry-on bag with just the first few pages of this book. I was already just intrigued by, why did the Duke take interest in this girl? Audra is her name. Where are her parents? Why aren't they there? Why is she, at this orphanage, like this boarding school / orphanage kind of place, and sort of because of the Duke. And now that turns out, like, the Duke has a son, and now they're going to this ball. And so, you're kind of just left with all these questions that you have to keep reading to find out, which I think is one of the best things about, and I think that's what makes mystery work. Don't you think, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. I see the same thing in Evil's Whisper, Jordan, where you certainly pack a lot into the very beginning, and so I'm hooked. I'm in. I want to know who is the Daughter of Darkness and who are these people, and then you thrust us into this world which feels familiar but also very different, and then we learn as we go through with sometimes with the characters, and sometimes the characters are teaching us what's going on. So yeah, absolutely.
So that kind of made me wonder, like, what is your writing process then? Do you do like an outline? Tell us how you write one of your books when you sit down to write one.
Usually I've had a dream and it takes place in the middle of the story. So then I will think about that for a little while, like how you mentioned Deep Silence. The end of that book was a very vivid dream I had, so I had to figure out how the beginning happened.
Like how to get there, yeah.
Yeah, and then I just sit down and go for it. I have to have a notebook with me to keep track of the names and the places and the ages and what they look like, or I get completely confused because I have no outline.
Yeah, okay, so you don't use an outline?
Not until the very end. Usually about the last 3 or 4 chapters, I will outline those to make sure that it wraps up with a pretty bow.
Okay.
Other than that, I will just go for it.
Oh, she's a complete pantser then.
Pantser, yeah. That's how I was gonna say. That's really interesting.
That's my tribe. That's my tribe.
She's not a complete pantser if she writes an outline for the last 4
3 chapters. She's just being careful, but she's tribe. She's tribe. You can't deny me here.
I love it when people tell me that they're reading, I'll say in chapter 2, and they're like, oh, I saw that hint of the mystery toward the end. It was so cool how you wrote that in. And I was like, yeah, I did that on purpose.
So planned. Yeah.
You don't even know it. That's fantastic. So tell us a little about how you go from mysteries to mermaids, though. Why do you choose to write in all these different genres? It's very unusual for an author.
It's usually whatever has spoken to me. And I never try to aim toward a certain length. So you'll notice that some of my books are very, very long and others will be very short novellas. So I just start writing and I see where it takes me. Or I'll think of an idea from just walking around the block and see where that will go. Like my Delta book, that one is about a local, I don't want to say legend, but there's a lake nearby. It's in New York State Park right now. And in 1912, they decided to flood it to fuel the canal system.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved many of the houses. They tore down others. They moved some of the cemeteries. There's a local legend about a house that was left and people could swim by or take a boat. And sometimes boats bumped into the chimney, and there's legends about ghosts under there or ghosts haunting the buildings that were moved. And it's always really fascinated me. So I decided to write a book on that. And from there, I decided to write other books based on small little towns that some people will not have heard of. So Hillside is the second book, and Hillside was next to Delta. It was a village on the stagecoach route. And local legend has it that the Loomis Gang, which it's a gang that was famous for robbery and stealing gold. And supposedly they hid some of their gold on a hill in Hillside that was never found. So that's how book 2 came. Book 3 was Cahootis Hollow, and that one is about a lost village tucked away in the woods next to Delta, where you can't really go to now unless you're on a four-wheeler. And supposedly there was a plant in there. No one knows what the plant was, but it gave you hallucinogenic, lovely little hallucinations.
Oh, wow. Like
I decided to write magic into those books.
Oh, wow. So then you take sort of urban legends and then put like a magical realism twist on them.
For that series, yes.
For that series. Now, how about your mermaid series? Tell us about that.
Time to Live is the first book, and it started off as a book about Merlin. And from Merlin, it became a book about witches and other gods and goddesses and magical orbs, because I had a prism that was hanging in my bathroom catching the light. So that's where that idea came from. All had to do with that prism in my bathroom.
Oh, wow.
So then I decided to write a book about mermaids. So Mermaids is the second book in the series, which has a couple of the same characters. But mainly I want to try different things. I want to write mysteries and murder and suicide and make each book a little different than the last.
How many times do you edit your drafts?
It varies. I've had a couple. I had an agent at the time, and I rewrote that book. Oh, it had to be a dozen times. Other times, I'll do maybe 2 drafts. Evil's Whisper, I did rewrite that a couple times just because I wrote it back when I first finished high school. So, of course, it wasn't up to par of my usual writing by the time I decided to publish it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you had this story from high school, which I think everybody does. I think most writers do. And then like you were able to recraft it into this story that is completely publishable and up to standards. So that's so awesome. Why did you decide to dig that one back out?
It's always stuck with me. One of the main characters is my favorite character of all time. And she's still, when I'll be walking around the block or I'll be on vacation and I'll look at something and it will still remind me of her.
And that's Subia, right? Or
it's actually the baby in the book, Jalia.
Oh, okay.
She is my favorite.
Aww. Rob, who's your favorite character?
Oh, there were a lot that were good. I really liked your like desert warrior guy, Uthius. I think it's pronounced Uthius. But he just seemed really noble, but really driven and really, duty bound and kind of understood his place, but, was very concerned about why it was his place. I really enjoyed him, but I also liked his little brother, and I can't remember his little brother's name right now.
Herrick.
Say it?
Herrick.
Yeah, he was kind of slimy, but I could see that he had potential.
I love giving everybody their own personality.
You do a great job of it. They're all quite distinct. I haven't read any 2 characters that are like Honoria from the Witch Escape from Witch's Hollow, the one I'm reading, versus Audra. I mean, they were very different.
The Escape from Witchwood Hollow, that's another one of my favorites. Not that I don't all love all my books, but that one, when I was in junior high and high school, my cousins lived right near me. So I used to write plays all the time, and I had a camcorder, and we would act them out. And that was one of the ones that we acted out.
Was Witchwood Hollow?
which would hollow. So I was very familiar with that one when I decided to sit down and write it, which was after I found one of my old videotapes and I was watching it, which was very cringeworthy, but still a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, you're not the same person that you are when you're 12, but I think it's great that you had this fantasy game that you ended up turning into this fabulous book.
The book was easier to do because it was hard to find all the right props.
Right. So tell us some about, like, what do you like to read? Who are your favorite authors?
I will read anything. One of my favorites, I love the books by Maria V. Snyder. I love Tamara Pierce. I'm recently getting into Sarah McLean. She writes Regency romances.
Okay.
I like the books before Bridgerton. And then I started watching Bridgerton, and it made all the Regency romances that I love really come to life.
So you like Bridgerton? I got to ask.
Yeah, I got to know.
It was good. I enjoyed the diversity in it. I enjoyed the scenery and the costumes. I haven't read those books yet, so I'm a little worried to read them. Because usually I like the book better than the show.
Right. And I understand that the books are actually they're dedicated to each one of the Bridgerton siblings. So we get more and more of that world, but through different characters going through their life.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. That's genius. Like,
that is
I wish I thought of that.
That's a great idea. But did you watch Bridgerton, Rob?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you like it?
I love that stuff. Oh my gosh, Pride and Prejudice is my movie, my book, my obviously I'm big into epic fantasy and Tolkien and David Gemmell and every all that stuff, but Pride and Prejudice somehow just hit all the buttons for me. And so I've watched the BBC version, and then I've watched the Keira Knightley version. Oh, that's my favorite. Is the Keira Knightley. Love that.
Say that's your favorite, I bet.
Yeah, that's the one.
And so you're just a big softie at heart, which I already knew.
Right. You knew this.
I knew that. What are you reading right now, Jory?
I am sadly not really reading anything. I'm rereading my own books. Because our library is closed, and I usually go to the used book room or the library when I want to get new books. So I ran out of my to-be-read shelf because everything around here is basically still closed.
Oh my gosh, that's the saddest thing I think I've ever heard. Is my TBR is still brutally heavy. I don't know.
Couldn't believe I actually went through them all. We were on lockdown for a long time, so I wasn't able to go to work. We were working from home.
Yeah.
So some of that commute back and forth gave me enough time.
Oh, yeah.
To actually get through my TBR list.
Wow. Well, congratulations. I think you're the first person in history to get through a TBR. So I think you get an award.
Really good. We do have those little lending library book boxes in my neighborhood. There's 4 of them. So I was home with my son, and almost on a daily basis, we walked the circle to hit all of them. We were gone well over an hour.
He's
so
like,
I did get to replenish a little bit based on those.
Yeah, he thinks mom is taking us out for this great walk, and really you're just dying for new books.
He loved it too. He loved the books.
What he doesn't know won't hurt him. He's just having fun.
So hot. It was so hot this summer, and the walk was so long. But it was worth it.
Yeah, it's always worth it for books.
So nothing's and you're in New York, right?
Yes.
And everything's still shut down.
In my area, my work is open again. We're getting students back next week. But a lot of the restaurants are open, but a lot of the other things like the libraries, I really miss those. Yeah. They've been shut down again. We had the highest coronavirus count in all of the New York counties for a while.
Oh, wow. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Claim to fame, a very sad claim to fame.
Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully it gets better soon for everybody. I'm in Canada. Rob's in California. And, it's the same. We've got things that are shut down here, and people are slowly going back to work. Some people, I work at a law firm, and we've never been we worked all the way through. I think you worked as well, Rob. You were
Yeah, but
lucky.
I've worked remotely almost a year now. So
Wow.
like I have popped into the office 3 times over the last year, and that's
Oh,
it.
that's all right. Lucky you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say how lucky.
No, it's for me, it's been great. Like I really enjoy, rolling out of bed and walking to my computer and spending my day here and kind of chilling with my kids every now and then. Like I love that, but I understand
Yeah.
for other people it is an utter nightmare and it's just been brutal and like they cannot wait until they can get out of the house and go do things again or send the kids off somewhere, just for that mental health, that mental break. So, yeah.
Well,
I
and
miss
so,
the-
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that I miss the things that I could do with my son too, like the zoo
Mm,
or aquariums, things like that.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely like, the surreality of coronavirus has been that, at least for me, it's like, oh, I could do this thing with oh, no, that's closed. Oh, we could do it. No, 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 can't do
Yep.
that either. Like it felt like we had all this time but nothing to do, nowhere to go. Yeah.
No, we're so desperate for adventure. We went to the outlet mall yesterday and they have
Ooh.
these little furry animals that you can ride around and we rode them.
Oh,
You know
yes.
what? I don't lie, we rode them just because there's been nothing. There's been
Mm.
nothing. And then I sat outside the Bass Pro Shop
Nice.
at this huge display tank and I pretended that I was in the South Pacific diving because
You're underwater.
there's just nothing to do. It's what are
Yeah.
you going to do but write books? How many
Yeah.
books have you written in the past year? Jordan?
Hardly any. My son was home. His
Oh.
daycare closed.
Okay, right. How long does it typically take you? Because I was looking at some of the titles, and some of them, it almost looks like in 2018 you wrote 2 books.
My son would have been, yeah, that makes sense. He would have been very young at that age in that year. Usually it takes me a month or 2 to write a full novel.
Wow.
And then I'm usually writing a new novel when I go back and start editing it. I try to dedicate extra time during the day so that I'm not taking away from my writing time in order to do marketing and editing.
So you do your own marketing?
Yes.
Because you've got a great little website here. Did you design that yourself?
Yes.
Because I love you. Wow, so you're multi-talented. You're like a master of all trades.
I used Wix and they made it really easy. It was more of a template.
Well, and
Wix is great, isn't it? I love Wix myself, but to be fair, I didn't try anybody else. I just did Wix.
You did, eh?
Yeah.
And you put and what I thought was great was you put a link each time whenever you tap on like a cover, it takes you right to the link to buy the book. So that was really neat. I've never seen that done.
It's something I always wish when I look at other people's websites. I don't want to have to go to another window.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great. I want this book. Click. No.
Yeah.
No. Now I've got to remember the name and the author. That is frustrating.
So what are you working on right now?
I am working on a novella for a box set. I was hoping to do a couple box sets this coming year, see how that works out.
And in what genre?
This one's going to be about angels. So
I love angel. Is it now is it angel punk? Are we like talking supernatural kind of stuff or?
Mine is going to be apparently historic fiction. I'm on chapter 3 and it is aiming to go in that direction. So we'll see how it goes.
Interesting. Oh, okay. You've got to keep us appraised. Now, there's also a sequel is already done for Evil's Whisper, right? We're just waiting for release.
Yep, there are so far 7 books in the series.
Oh, that's awesome.
To come. And more planned out. I had stopped writing that series after I got that so sad rejection letter. Then I had gone on to write other things, which Time to Live was actually the next book that I had written. So I still have all of the plans. and a notebook filled with ideas for the rest of the series.
Wow.
So hopefully I want to go back to that soon. I just have other things that I have to get to.
And do you typically do, when you say you sit down and you write a chapter a night, do you do it by hand or do you do it like on your computer?
Computer. I could never write it by hand.
You never write by hand? I like to write by hand. Some people
some authors do. Some even really famous authors very famously write by hand with very specific tools, but not me. Not that I'm famous. Because typing is so much faster.
My handwriting is so horrible.
Yep.
What about, do you do research for your novels?
I do for the historic ones. I did a lot for the local legend series. I have a town clerk who is an expert on all of those places. So she helped me. She gave me pictures. She read over each draft of it to make sure it was historically accurate. And my favorite thing that she did for me was, of course, like the names, I made them all up. And if a name was too similar to a name that actually existed back then, she let me know so I could change it.
That's a handy friend to have.
Wow.
It was great. We get to do book signings together. We can't right now, but we've done book signings and we've done talks, and she does a presentation all about the history of that place. And then I talk to her. I talk about my books. I help her. It's a really great system.
That sounds great. And so is she one of your beta readers for all your books or just your historical ones? Rob, is that you?
That was me. So sorry. I just turned off the sound. I am the worst host ever. I'm like, oh my God.
You're the worst person in the world. No, Rob, it's okay. It's okay. Sorry, go ahead, Jordan. So do you have beta readers for your other books? Or what? Tell us about, like, so when you finish a book and you've edited it, do you send it out for beta reading or do you just send it right to your agent or publisher?
I send it to... I have critique partners and beta readers. The critique ones, I do theirs, they do mine. Beta readers, they don't usually have me read anything of theirs. Right. So I have about 9 of them right now. I had more before, but they've gone on to get married and have kids and have different jobs and careers. So they have less time for reading right now, which is sad. My heart breaks. I miss them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have about 9 people, and I will send it to them, and they will give me feedback, which is wonderful because usually it's something like, did you know her hair changed color in chapter 9? Or here's a huge plot hole that you missed. So after that, I will send it to either my agent or one of the publishers who are already interested because I've pitched them the story.
So that's my next question. So you actually write query letters to publishers with and like I'm assuming you look at the guidelines and then you submit to different publishers. Why not just go through, I guess because they're different genres, I guess, eh?
Yes. So right now I'm published through Elysian Press, and I'm also with CHBB, and mainly that's about it for now. I did pull back some of my books from other publishers, and another publisher closed. But I like to see what other books they're publishing right now that are similar to mine. That way it gets the full benefit of marketing. That way the editors that they have on hand are able to accurately edit my story. I did have a publisher in the past, I'm not going to say who it was, and I'm not with them anymore. They had an editor who told me right out that she does not do young adult fantasy, so she couldn't help me with any aspect of that.
Oh my gosh.
So I really felt like the editing wasn't up to par with that book. So that's why I did pull that book back, and I held on to it for a couple of years before taking it to another one of my current publishers and said, hey, I have this book, I have the rights back, would you be interested in it? And I think that this time it really got the edit that it deserved.
Oh my gosh, that's
so
I'm so sorry. I'm laughing out of frustration.
Why are you frustrated?
Discouraging.
I've been there with a publisher editor who really didn't understand what I was doing, but for some reason signed me, and it was so horrible. Like, it was just a bad experience. It gives publishing, it's one of those stories where you're like, oh, they're trying to take your voice. Well, yeah, in some, you can run into those bad apples, and you run into you're like, what?
Well, weren't you under contract and they wouldn't even give you like your work back?
To me or to Jordan?
No, to you.
Oh yeah, I had to wait out. I either had to wait out the contract time or I had to buy it back, and I went ahead and bought it back because I had an offer from another publisher who went ahead and took all my titles, which was great.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the publisher you're with now.
I'm with 2 publishers now, and so Claiborne Press picked up my Angel Punk books, and Elysian took my steampunk.
Oh, the Angel Dell.
Yeah, the Dell books.
The Dell books. Okay, yeah. The Dell books.
Not to take away from Jordan here, but
yeah, no. I'm just curious because you both kind of had the same experience.
Yeah, I feel for you, Jordan, because I know I've been there, and you're like, whoa, what just happened? Where did we just go? I just got assigned somebody who can't help me. Like, that's weird.
They let me cancel that contract before it ran out just because they knew how unhappy I was with the edits. I definitely made myself known for that.
That's good. That's how it should go. Like, if the partnership isn't working, everybody should just walk away.
Yeah, the editor was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. The publisher was uncomfortable with the end product. Just it wasn't a good fit.
What do you have any advice for any up and coming writers?
Definitely don't give up. Keep writing, keep trying. Someone will love your voice.
And work hard. Yes. Write a chapter a night.
Keep trying, even when the rejection letters hurt and sting and you were counting on that one publisher right out of high school.
Yeah, that's true.
One publisher right out of high school. Well, what a pleasure it's been to have you on the show, Jordan. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm just aghast at the amount of work that you have done. The quality, the stories are fantastic. Just, sort of I want to say jack of all trades, but you're also the master of all of them. It looks like you've got the marketing down as well.
I hope so. I did employ PR last year. I'm not doing it this year, but I hope to again in the future. And that really helped.
Was employing the PR. So would that be some more advice that you would have for authors out there who are hoping to land publishing contracts, is to, work a little bit on that marketing as much as you work on your books? Or
you really have to market yourself. Because even when the publisher has a great marketing team, they also have a lot of other books. And you are the expert on your book. You have the passion for your book. So when you reach out to those bloggers yourself or you try to network with other authors, I found it really shines through when you're doing it from your heart, as opposed to just like a mass email from your marketing team.
That's fantastic. I think that's the best advice that you can give anybody for anything that they're passionate about doing. Don't you, Rob? Just do it from your heart.
Absolutely. That's where it's got to start, right? It helps to have a little bit of talent, but it also helps to put in all the work. But it's got to be real. It's got to come from the heart.
It's got to come.
I'm also a little crazy, and that shows.
We think you're crazy in a good way, though. So keep on keeping on.
I don't think there's any writer on this planet that can claim full sanity.
Yeah, most of us say we're not.
Don't even think that exists. But that's all the time we have today. And again, I would like to thank you, Jordan, for coming on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and great, Rob, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. And I just want to close with one chapter a night. That's it. That's all you need to do. One chapter.
You heard it here, folks. That's how you get to be a published author with 48 titles under your belt, as well as having a full-time job and a family. I don't even want to hear it from anybody now that they can't do this.
That's the bar.
Because that's the bar. That's the new bar. One chapter a night. Okay, everybody. Good night.
Oh, Kari, don't forget our sponsor, please.
Thanks for coming in, and thanks for the reminder, Rob. Big shout out to our sponsor, Goodwin's Greenhouse Supply and Service. Go Goodwins. Bye-bye, everybody.